Hello everyone, good morning. Sage here live from Kalkine studio, and you're watching the Early Trades, a show where we share with you a glimpse of the Australian share market's opening trade scenario along with the global and domestic drivers triggering the market's momentum. In the first segment of our show today, we'll look at how the early morning trades panned out, taking cues from the Wall Street's action overnight. And then in the last segment, we'll look at the prominent newsmakers grabbing the headlines during the early trading hours, as well as movements seen in cryptocurrency, crude oil, gold and the metals indices. The Australian shares opened in the red on Wednesday after the global equities retreated from record highs overnight amid concerns of a sluggish economic recovery and hopes that the Federal Reserve might delay tapering its debt purchases. The ASX 200 opened the day 32.80 points lower, pulled down by gold and the energy sectors due to muted commodity prices. On Tuesday, the Reserve Bank of Australia announced its plans to start reducing the bond buying stimulus to $4 billion Australian dollars a week, despite coronavirus lockdowns hurting the economy. A few ASX-listed shares going ex-dividend on Wednesday include Blackmores, Brambles, Medibank Private and Seek.com. And meanwhile, the Dow Jones fell 0.75%. The S&P 500 dropped 0.35% and the Nasdaq edged 0.05% higher. The US stock and bond markets were closed on Monday due to the Labor Day public holiday. And after the surprisingly soft US payrolls report last Friday, speeches by the US policymakers later this week will be closely tracked for any hints about how the weak jobs report impacted the Fed's plans on the tapering of the bond purchases. And moving on to the last segment of the show, let's quickly look at the highlights of the prominent ASX shares under the spotlight during the early trades. The Macquarie Group says it expects its performance in the first half of financial year 22 to be slightly weaker than the second half of financial year 2021. Next is an Australian multinational contractor. The CIMIC Group has been awarded contracts of nearly 145 million Australian dollars. And moving on again, NRW Holdings says its subsidiary Macquarie Group has bagged a contract for the Mount Holland concentrator project for covalent lithium. And meanwhile, Westgold Resources says it's on track to achieve its production guidance despite COVID-19 related challenges during August. And lastly, an ASX-listed specialist investment management company, Centuria Capital, announced the acquisition of an office building in Port Adelaide, South Australia, for 62.75 million Australian dollars. And looking at the bond yields, the US government bond yield surged following the jobs report and ahead of a busy week of Treasury auctions. The yield on the 10-year Treasury notes was up 4.8 basis points to 1.377% after hitting a high on 1.370%. In the currency space, the US dollar climbed 0.4% against a basket of other major currencies. And moving on, the crude oil prices fell on Tuesday amid concerns about the weak demands in US and Asia, while West Texas Intermediate fell 1.4% from Friday's close to $68.35 US a barrel, while Brent crude futures closed 0.7% lower at $71.69 US a barrel. Energy stocks such as Woodside Petroleum was trading lower during the early trade, whereas Santos edged lower during the early trade on Wednesday. And moving on now to the futures and commodities. Gold prices fell after a buoyant dollar and higher yield took the shine off the metal, and the spot bullion prices were down 1.6% as the US gold futures finished 1.9% lower at $1,798 an ounce. And the ASX-listed gold stocks such as Northern Star Resources was seen in the red during the early trade, while Newcrest Mining was also trading lower during the opening trade on Wednesday. And let's take a look now at the developments in the metals space. The most traded iron ore for January 2022 delivery on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended 1.1% higher. And the benchmark 3-month aluminium on the London Metal Exchange fell 0.5%. And meanwhile, the copper slipped 1.1% to $9,344 a tonne. In the cryptocurrency space, Bitcoin fell 17% to its lowest levels in a month as El Salvador's crypto launch started on a rocky note. And hopefully that's been informative for you, but that's all for now on the early morning trades. And stay tuned to Kalkine TV as we have many more shows lined up for you, sharing live updates across the economy, markets and sectors. Sage signing off.